Last time on Shadow Piece, the battle between Green Bull, Ivankov and Bello Betty started. It was a bizarre showdown, both mentally and physically. At first the revolutionary duo taunted the Admiral by ignoring him and continuing to boost their powers for each other. After that was over, the big-headed newcomer faced off in a direct clash of physical might, just punching each other. The time Green Bull turned into a pretty sunflower should not be mentioned anymore to keep everyone's sanity intact. We left off with the Admiral raising his hands towards the sky, starting to photosynthesize. At the same time, the commander of the Grand Line rammed all 10 of their fingers into their face. With every second that passed, Green Bull's entire body grew bigger and bigger. For Ivankov, only their face grew to an unimaginable height. The people that left the island were already many kilometers away, but even they could see the two monstrosities that appeared on the Kamabaka Queendom, sizes that surpassed even the giants from Elbaf, a true showdown of mass. On top of Eva's head, below Betty found herself. It almost looked like she was giving him a massage. Her powers work well verbally, but when she physically performed a skill, it could be even more potent. But in this moment, she was actually combining both different methods, massaging the head and giving power-boosting speeches. She truly was the prime definition of a supporter. Most experienced fighters would actually focus the supporter or healer first, but not Green Bull. He just wanted to show his dominance, so his target was Ivankov. In general, nothing changed except their sizes, and the way the clashes were happening. Instead of fist on fist, they now collided punches of a giant freeman and wings of the leader and strongest newcomer. Branches, thorns, petals, and so many other aspects of nature got thrown and blasted towards Ivankov, the force to destroy everything in its path, and was all focused on one singular person. If nature wanted you dead, what would you do? At least one person in the world would have answered, wink at it. And that person was Emporio Ivankov. Their wings were powerful enough to even break down mountains, so the embodiment of Mother Nature had to be careful. However, the focus only on the gigantic head offered the other revolutionary commander a chance to act. Without Aramaki noticing, she disappeared from Ivankov's head and started sneaking up on the wooden monster. Evading all the attacks and explosions proved to be quite difficult, and that despite the fact that they weren't even aimed at her. Hiding her presence as she dodged and weaved through the danger, Bello Betty finally reached her opponent. Calmly she breathed and touched the wooden leg of the Admiral. It didn't take long until it started to rot, and with enough time it spread enough to let the commander of the East enter the body of the wood giant. Because of Ivankov's continuous damage on large parts of the upper body, the rot on the leg is only deemed as stray damage and gets slowly healed, not noticing that it was actually Bello Betty's doing. Unbeknownst to Green Bull, Bello Betty started to slowly move her way up to the core of the tree giant to find the Admiral's real body. Be it like a termite or some sort of fungi that makes trees decay, the purple-haired lady dug her way through the bark. As she continued her way up, the danger to get hit by Ivankov's wings also increased. After all, there was no way to ensure that friendly fire wouldn't happen, and if they tried to be cautious, it could lead to Green Bull getting suspicious of the situation. In a war, not everything is about pure power. In many battles, the strategy was the deciding factor, so in that part, the Revolutionary Army was already winning. And it was only starting to get worse for the Marine. In the Battle of Giants, no side seemed to have the advantage. Never-ending growing nature was vicious and treated anyone in its path the same way, mercilessly. Logia powers do use up stamina, but in this showdown it was less taxing than what Ivankov was going through. Using all 10 fingers to inject hormones into themselves was a sort of ultimate move in their arsenal of techniques. Every single second spent enlarged to such a size was painful. It felt like trillions of needles were getting put in and pulled out over and over again, never stopping. But to change the world, Emporio Ivankov was ready to go through hell and back. They already had enough memories from hell. Suffering as a slave, being hunted like an animal for amusement by the celestial dragons, seeing countless acquaintances and also friends die. All these were just a few things they went through in their life. If all they had to do was feel pain to change the world, they would have already succeeded in their plans, but it's not that easy. For now they had to get past the admirals. However, they were not the only powerful people in the world government, and changing the way the world worked was a completely different kind of monster. Yeehaw! I think this bullfight has lasted long enough. Let me change the flow a bit. Yeehaw! It was hard to see with the two gigantic creatures, but Ivankov's tiny body had started to dance, and this rhythmic movement helped him in evading all the attacks of the forest man. If that wasn't already enough, he also started inching closer towards the Admiral. In Newcomer Kenpo, many techniques used natural forces to strengthen themselves further. Only if you mastered them all, you could call yourselves a master of the fighting style. The force Ivankov was relying on at this moment was rotation, a key factor in the balance of the world, and with every extra twirl, the power increased more. For Green Bull, the movement felt odd, and it quickly became apparent why that was. Ivankov's face was already over the size of the biggest giants in this world, but it was also coming closer to him. Every pirouette moved them back and forth, which resulted in a twisted perception for Aramaki. Wooden hammers may have destroyed the ground, acorn grenades may have removed any trace of buildings that were once around in this area. However, nothing could compare to the disaster that was about to strike. In the exact same moment when Ivankov was unleashing their pirouette wing, Bello Betty reached the body of the Admiral hidden deep within the three giants. A wing so destructive that the total landmass of the Kamabaka Queendom decreased by multiple percent. Obviously, that meant that the wood giant got completely decimated as well. Greenbolt was about to cover his own body with armor and haki when he suddenly felt a knife pierce directly through his heart. Taken aback, the immensely powerful technique blasted both of the humans in its path to smithereens. While it hurt to kill Belobeti like that, she opened up the path to hit Greenball. However, Ivankov didn't stop there. It was better to be safe than sorry. Continuing to wink, the Grand Line commander of the Revolutionary Army destroyed more and more space until they had to take a break to recover. Death is an everyday occurrence for the revolutionaries, and yet they still cry for each other. It was only natural. A comrade and close friend had just left the world. The leader of the newcomer was looking around to see any form of movement, but everything was silent, and no flowers or trees were in sight either. They really did it. Another admiral down, but also another commander. Big battles were normally followed by a break, but that wasn't the case in this moment. With no hesitation, Ivankov made themselves on the way to support Dragon. Their body shrunk down again, and the aftermath of all the hormones resulted in even more pain. Betty, may you rest in peace. Yeehaw. Dragon, just wait a bit longer. Your body is on the way to help you. This war was coming to an end. Only the final showdown remained. On the side of the Marines, Fujitora and Akainu stood tall, and for the revolutionaries, Ivankov and Dragon were ready to change the world. But suddenly, something penetrated Ivankov's shoulder. A green mass started to crawl up the cliff the newcomer created by destroying the land, and inside of it, Bello Betty could be seen. She was coughing, bleeding heavily, but still alive. Her gaze turned towards Eva, stretching out her arm and mumbling without energy. Save me. The same spike that pierced through Ivankov now penetrated Betty's body in countless locations. As her body started to shrivel up, the green mass grew, slowly shaping itself to Admiral Greenball. A dirty smile decorated his face. This time, the Eastern commander was really dead. But to further add insult to injury, he smashed his foot on the ground, splashing the shriveled up head into pieces. You will be the next to suffer this fate, Emporio Ivankov. My forest only grows stronger, and your blood, that will be the nutrient I need to go even further beyond. And this is the end of today's episode of Shadow Piece. Yes, I faked out the death of Bello Betty to actually kill her a few seconds later. Well, Oda couldn't do something like that. And I can't wait for the next fake out death. Do you think that a certain character that recently died is actually dead? I don't know if you read the chapter that came out this Sunday, but I don't know if they're actually dead. I think so. I think they are actually dead. So, I think we are actually getting into final battles. Ivankov is now the only one standing here, the last commander in this war, and he will continue to fight against Green Bull to see if he or Green Bull will be victorious, and who will help their commander. Is it going to be a help for Akainu and Fujitora, or is it going to be a help for Dragon? All that's just going to be seen in the future episodes of Shadow Piece. All that's left to be said for now is stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay cultured. Pyro out. Bye.